You're welcome back to this session. We have tried to do a lot in trying to understand the basic things about regression, the interpretations of our results. We have also looked at dummy variables, how we can use it as independent variable in our model. We want to quickly look at the next item we have here, which is a multiple regression with log variables. Now, a very good question to ask is, why do we log our variables? I will rather refer you to literature on why variables may need to be logged. But to keep it simple, just for this class, logging variables in most cases increases numerical accuracy. And of course, it's not all variables you can log. Any of your variables that has negative values, it is called as it will be difficult to log it. Those who have good background in mathematics will tell you better why it is not possible. But it's just to note that if you have a variable that runs around positive and negative values, you won't be able to log it. So how do we log our variables? Let's get back to our eViews and remember our data set here. We will open our estimation equation dialog box to do the basic regression we are been using in this training. Say GDP. You have C. Remember what C is. C is your constant, and then is a function of, we have export and we have import. So these are the variables. These variables are not logged. Okay, so if we run our regression, we obtain our basic results. I'm sure by now you are familiar with these results. Now, what if we decide to keep this model as logged model, fully logged, log linear model, as the case may be? To do that, there are two key options you can explore. You can decide to convert the variables into logged form and then use them in your equation, or you will run your normal equation but then put them in log form before you estimate. Now, to call up the equation that gave us this result, you go back to estimate and click estimate. Now this is GDP. What I will quickly do is to type log in front of GDP and cover it and put GDP in brackets. In the same way we type log in front of export while putting export in brackets. The same thing with import, and then we put import in brackets and then estimate it. This is fully logged, what is called log linear model. Okay, the other alternative is to do partial logging, where some of the variables are not logged, others are logged. So we'll click OK, and that gives us this result. If you look at it, it behaved similar with the former result we obtained, even though the arrow square has improved. However, there is a challenge here with dubbing waxing that has come down. The F statistic is still okay, and each of the individual variables are still okay. They are significant. So this is one way you can run your log model. If I decide not to log GDP, in that case you'll be talking about semi-logged model. Semi-log model is where not all variables are logged. Okay, I could keep GDP not logged and run it that way. and then we see the result. Of course, this doesn't look very beautiful. Our R square has come down seriously. The double waxing has also gone further down, and none of the variables here, none of them is significant. So this is not a very good one for us. But in some cases, you may have some models where semi-log model will be preferred because the equation shows better results. Okay. Now, having said this, it's important to know that anytime you log your model, it affects the interpretation of that model. Okay, so let's get back to GDP as logged, and the two variables are also logged. Now, this is the result we obtained when we have done log linear model. Now, in interpreting this, unlike what is obtainable when it's not logged, your interpretation will be that a unit increase in export, because export is positive, a unit increase in export will increase GDP by the quantity represented as the coefficient. If it is not logged, you use units to interpret. Now, when it is logged this way, you don't use units to interpret. You interpret it as percentage increase. So, like in this case, we have a percentage increase in export will increase GDP by the percentage represented here, 0.5, approximately 7. Okay, so once you apply log, you don't use unit because it's no longer in unit form. You have transformed that variable to be rated in terms of percentage when you interpret it. Now, if you do semi-logged model, is not fully logged, you need to be careful the way you do your interpretation so that the one that is not logged will be counted as unit, while the one that is logged will be counted in percentage. So you need to be careful to do that kind of interpretation when you have semi-logged model as the model of estimate. Okay, now the second approach in trying to do estimate your log model is to transform your variables before you use them in the equation format. How do we transform this now? We come to your process. Okay, you see this object here, object under the work file you are working with, and I say generate series. Now I want to generate a series called len GDP is equal to my GDP, the log of GDP. Len GDP is equal to log of GDP. I'll click OK. It gives me that thing as a variable here. I repeat the same thing for each of the variable. You see, object generate series, then I have len export equal to log of export. Okay, then I'll click OK. It gives me that log of export. I'll do the same thing for import. Object generate series, then len import is equal to log of import, right? Log of import. Then you click OK. So the variables are already in logged form. So if I want to estimate, I'll get back to quick estimate equation. I'll quickly take len GDP as my dependent variable, then C then len export. Okay, then export, then len what again? Len import. You are smart. You're already there. So len import. Now, so this is my log model. In that case, you wouldn't be seeing log of anything, because I had already transformed the variables before coming to this point. So I'll just click OK. It gives me the same result we obtained when we used log and put the variable in brackets. All right, so this is basically how to run a log model. We could have several variables running into that way, and then we will log all of them. Right, thank you very much. I think we are going to stop this session here, and in the next session we'll be looking at something very, very important which we have until now overlooked in this study. That is what will necessitate the use of different variables in our equation. Thank you.